Check 1 2. Check. Check. Hello, welcome. I'm going to be pulling in Carlton today. We're going to start a discussion, quick little talk about, we'll call this the inaugural podcast, which is not really a podcast, it's like a video stream, but we'll be saving the audio as a podcast. I don't know what we're calling this yet. I'm going to get Carlton in on this chat, and we'll be pulling in people as they come online to join the discussion. I think one idea we could do is kind of keep things almost like a call-in radio, which I think there's not many podcasts doing that. You'll notice I run my computer at 80% CPU capacity. Hello. Check 1 2. Oh, I hadn't turned you on yet. Talk.
Testing.
I think that's good.
Testing. Hello.
All right. If anyone in the chat can't hear Carlton, let me know.
All right.
I think that's
Okay,
good.
I guess I need to go to the chat.
I got it open, but yeah, it's also really crappy. I got to have the website open for me to see the chat. So
Yeah, let me mute it here. All right.
I was thinking about when we do this, we could have people actually jump on Skype mid show, like they do the call-in stations. I think that's something that lots of podcasts don't do. You know, whenever we do the stream.
Yeah, callers, call in. Tell us what you think.
Call in. I'm just
Hello, caller.
Hello, caller. This caller's name is Kyle. Kyle, we're going to brief you on what not to say on air. Please don't mention any political swings, religious connotations.
You're going on with the guys very soon.
You're going on with the guys. The guys.
All right, we're gonna put you on with the guys.
I think Pablo might join us, possibly CJ. As they get
That rapscallion. Who's CJ?
CJ did the study group with me. He did the daily study group with me for a while, and then both of us realized like we needed to
all right.
focus a lot and work. I'm gonna be slowly hacking away at work, super slowly.
Slowly hack away these leads. So yeah. Topics.
Yeah, let's do this first thing. Okay, so if you're just joining us, if you haven't been on my stream before, this is Miguel Coronado, freelance illustrator living in Austin, Texas. I'm now, if you watch the old ones, I've only recently become a professional freelance illustrator, doing real work for real money. So that's nice. And Carlton Tomlin's also a freelance illustrator living in Austin. You can find my work at www.mciii.net and Carlton's work at, that's where you say
smoothaseggs.blogspot.com. And a bunch of old stuff.
Cool.
Yo, what y'all? All right.
It's from Texas. That's what we say to each other. That's how we talk here. So I'm just gonna be working while we do this discussion too. It's like just because I have to.
That's how we.
That's how we roll.
Yeah, that's cool.
We have no free time. And I figure once we start work on the production, we can just do a couple just at the office while we're doing work, and we'll have to cover up. We'll have to hide the screen or like do that thing where like you shrink the screen or something and just talk. But, typos. What up? Lol.
Yeah.
typos. Let me close this down. I want to minimize this thing. I think like that. There we go. There we go. And let me pull up my reference because I'm looking at a picture of myself for wrinkle reference. The jacket wrinkles. I'm trying to think of like
Big wrinkles.
We haven't really talked about ways of formatting anything. That's me. If anyone's watching.
Mm.
Let me just cover that up a little bit. I have no shoes on.
Please show.
What was I going to tell you? Oh, so like some brief breakdown of like, typical things. So like right now I'm working on some freelance stuff. I'm trying to get a big job finished up before the end of the month so I can have free time to work on a film project Carlton and I will both be working on together. And and then I've got some other freelance coming up next month from a client that for some reason wasn't contacting me back about a contract, and then seemingly out of nowhere, it's been like kind of a week or so since they responded to me. They just said, "Oh yeah, I'll get it to you," and so I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'm doing the job now." So everything worked better than expected. They were just like, "Oh yeah, we'll sign it." So I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's weird.
I guess I'm just gonna
I saw
do
that
the
post.
job. So anyway, it's the same. Yeah, I was about to just out them and just be like, "This company's crap. Don't work for them." But they're gonna sign it, so it doesn't matter. And anyway.
No, it's good.
But yeah. So stick to your guns. They're not gonna sign a contract. Don't work with them unless they come back a week later and just say, "Oh no, we'll do it." In which case, just work with them, I guess. It's a fun project, so like for me, it's just gonna be fun to work on. In general, like I was just kind of like, oh, I get to get paid to draw some fun stuff, and it's not too much money though. But anyway, how's your like week been? This is like one of those things every podcast does, like your work week, or what are you currently doing?
Well, it's been pretty good. I got on Instagram, joined the 21st Century, and it's been interesting. I also joined a site called Clout, which actually measures your Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where you can measure what area of marketing you might be lacking. And of course, it has to have access to all those things. So if you don't mind hitting accept on something like that, and quick view. So I'm kind of getting into that. I'm kind of looking into what we can do for this show, and how we would want to do it. And yeah, that's pretty much mine. I've been doing a lot of sketching, a lot more than normal, kind of getting back on the horse.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been going pretty good. I got my first published paid gig cards that I made for Albino Dragon last year. The Princess Bride deck number 3. You can find it on albinodragon.com. They came out pretty nice. I wanted to do them in color, but that wasn't my decision, so that's that. And they came out the way they came out.
I wanted to do them in color. That's like your final thoughts on the project.
Yeah, it was just like, let's do them in black and white. They're better in black and white. Like, we have these, like millions of Pantone colors that Bicycle can print. So let's do them in black and white. Sure. No problem. Actually, less work time for me. I didn't have to worry about skin tones and doing anything.
I
but
think in a
yeah,
way
that
it
came
kinda
out.
works
That's exciting.
It's kind of nice. I know you like the saturated colors, though. So now that I kind of know how you like to work, I'm like, oh, I can see where that was like, like, it was like killing you. Like, damn it. You're not going to get the Ball of Honor look.
Let's take the most beautiful colors beautiful photos of flowers and colors, but let's use black and white film. Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And that was a little death inside when that happened.
Well,
Oh well, let's go eat some barbecue. Get over it.
that's what we do here in Texas. Um, well, let's move on to what's going on. So, you went to TAD. You're going to TAD, or you were at, I guess not anymore. TAD's gone now. So
Hmm.
you were at TAD, and
Wah wah wah. Yeah.
we're gonna briefly talk about what was going on recently, and we're just gonna be talking our own opinions on the subject or from our own
Hmm.
experience, and
No slander.
so we're just here
Hmm.
to discuss because it's kind of a big thing with the industry that we're in. And Carlton and a few people here in Austin are like personally affected by what's going on because they either firsthand had dealings with Jason Manley and Tad, or they went to the school, um, or they're just so
Hmm.
close to the subject that it's a little more relevant. I feel like than some people don't even know who Jason. They're like, "What is this? What's going on?" They don't even understand anything. So, um, if you don't know what's going on, we'll try and shed some light and everything.
Yeah. So
And
Jason Manley.
yeah, you can go.
Yeah.
I'm just
Jason
gonna.
Manley runs conceptart.org or owns conceptart.org, and which is where I fell in love with art back in 2002 or 2004 when it was crazy. That's where everybody went before Facebook ruined forums. It was then they started up TAD with Mr. John English, who's an amazing teacher, um, and he's got a lot of great character. Other people have some opinions of these people that I don't share, but I'm on Team English. I'm definitely on
Team
Team
English.
Normal guy.
He's a racist man. Team English. He's a normal guy. None of you
Mhm.
Spanish speakers out there. No, that was totally out of
Yeah,
context. Anyway, Carlton's a massive
yeah.
racist.
So
Sorry, continue.
massive dude. No, yeah. So the I went to TAD. I loved TAD. It was fantastic. I was able to keep going to school, moving all over the country. So um, and I got to meet Ron and Vanessa Lemon, who are unbelievably talented and skilled, hardworking teachers, and Marshall Vandruff, who is another wonderfully skilled teacher. Um, but his art is definitely the art of teaching. He can make the cogs turn in your head very well while he sings to you in the morning. With his wonderful radio voice. I do a pretty good Marshall. I like to think that I do a pretty good Marshall impression, but if you haven't heard him, then that's a whole other thing. Um, yeah,
Take
like,
our word
and
for it.
he's a great friend. Um, these people were basically part of my lives part of my life for 3 years now. This is the end of 3.5 years, I guess. Like it was basically 2010 when I started. I took a break for one semester, and then it was announced 2 days ago that the art department was going to be closing its online doors, and they're going to focus their attentions on the Art Connection Academy, which actually looks like a really good deal. Um, and unfortunately, it has the same acronym as the Affordable Care Act, but I hope that doesn't bother them too much. But
They're like, get used to it.
like yeah, like angry Republicans get on there and give us back our jobs. Just
They're just
pissed.
gonna be
Like,
like, come to our Connection Academy and just be ready to use the
mhm.
the whatever Care Act, American Care Act.
Sign up for insurance. What?
Uh,
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was a great experience. I, I had quit my job, and moved up to Eugene, Oregon, and uh, me and my ex and I were going to school full time. It was just this great opportunity for me to be able to get trained from these people that I've been admiring for a long time and seen in magazines, and it was like meeting them in person. And so Jason Manley was one of those people at the time. I didn't take any classes from him. He he was basically a part owner of, or at least 50% or something like that, shareholder with Tad, and the in 2013, which is now all over Facebook, there are allegations of things that happened. There are, and these are like court documents that I guess are being made to the public.
Hey, you know what?
Jason Mann.
Could you link that in the chat?
Yeah, I think I can, if I can find it.
He'll link, it's like the TAD website, basically. And I'm going to link up another relevant. Here's the Brad Rigney's little spiel that came out last year. That was a kind of a... Last year? No, maybe not too long ago. If anyone doesn't know who the hell we're talking about, what we're talking about, I have a bunch of tabs opened up to kind of school people in. This is the Brad Rigney deal, and you can read that. And then here is a little bio of Jason Manley, if you don't know who we're talking about, what he looks like.
Oh, wow, it has, yeah.
And there's another article I read on him a while back about, because he's also one of the founders of Massive Black originally. Which is something that people...
Yeah, and they kicked him out of there too.
So there's some articles for anyone that's listening in.
Oh, you didn't miss much.
Yeah.
Jory. No, so basically the guy's a mover and a shaker. He's definitely a hustler. He definitely knows how to make money, make connections, uses power words, I think he worked with Black Isle Studios back in the day for a short time, and made people mad at him there. But yeah, so I hadn't been on the art department website. I just saw that people linked it, but they have a full list there, a letter from John English, and a link to view the entire petition. So earlier last year, they had a falling out, and I think Brad Rigney knew that they were having a falling out, and he made a post saying, "Hey guys, I haven't been paid for my video that I made for Massive Black."
Yeah.
And that basically threw, and Jason was still associated with Tad, and that basically threw Tad under the bus, and we were like, we don't associate with this guy anymore. He was removed. He was resigned. He was resigned. Yes. No, yeah. He resigned, and he wasn't removed, but he was resigned. God damn it. He resigned, and he basically started to. I think that's when they started like court proceedings, when he wanted his his shares to be bought out, or like they wanted to get him out of there. And the allegations are in the court document made public right there. So the others, he basically just made people feel weird. I met him one time, and I used to work in a prison facility, and he made me feel weird. Like he was just an odd guy.
Sorry, just such a
It's like, yeah, like I used to work in a prison, and this guy made me feel like creepy. Like this is,
Let me. I'm pulling up another
hello, Pine.
Article too, real quick, and this is his counter sue against Ted. And so people can read both sides of the stories too.
He basically was not paying any money, to Tad, and he actually, I think he apparently took money from Tad and wasn't teaching and all this stuff. Like it was just going downhill before he resigned, and then So all of the stuff that he's posting up, in my opinion, is just him trying to tread water. He's trying to save any face that he can, and he's a smart guy. He should probably just get into another business. You just know how to start a website. You know how to market fantastically. Start another business. Get into a new industry. Like save some face, pass it off to some hands that. That's just my opinion though. So, but there are people that are team Jason. There are people that are team English. There are people that are team fuck all those guys. Um, and, and I'm definitely team English. But the
It's just like
and my
Twilight.
opinion is yeah, definitely. And but I think it went really shittily for all the people involved. It's unfortunate that the my school, which taught me everything about art, has to shut down because they're being dragged through the courts. Like they've spent all this money um, on everything else that they couldn't spend on the school. And you go somewhere to learn fundamentals and learn that you suck, and you taught all these amazing things, and then you kind of start coming out on top. And people, a lot of new people ask you, where did you go to school? And it was sometimes I was kind of scared to say, well, I go to TAD because people are so biased. Um, and
But that
it,
bias
but
that came out
it's
when some of the events were kind of occurring, and people were beginning to grow a bias against Ted because they were associating it with
mhm.
Jason Manley's actions at the time, right?
Yeah, I think back in the day, when the art department was first starting up, it was going to be taught by a lot of the massive black artists, and they already had the massive black atelier. Um, from what I understand, they had to all of the massive black artists had to have write like cease and desist letters for Manly advertising um, that they were going to be
Teach.
teaching,
Yeah.
and um, that it was shortly after that he was bought out of Massive Black, and he was no longer part of that company. Um, and because he was part owner. So as far as I understand, he went to focus his efforts on TAD, and then according to these letters and according to these allegations, sexual improprieties with employees, et al., whoever else. I don't know. I wasn't there, but those things like kind of forced him out of the other stuff. Like it was just crazy. Like I was bought, like I mean I was sold, on going to this online school. Jason definitely sold it really well. It seemed like a great opportunity, and it was. And I kind of gave up 3 years of my life to go to the school that now has to close because of this guy just wanting his share of the money. So it was just weird to think that this awesome thing is no longer in existence. And I think it's just quite unfortunate. But there were some great moments, and I'd do it all over again if I could. I would love to redo it again, and do it better. But I think now that I've been sort of taught how to learn or how to teach myself and how to study, that I think it's you may not need art school, but you definitely need a group of friends. You definitely need, but I'll get into that in a second, I guess. But yeah, like it was. So now it's Jason is saying, is trying to smear English and saying he's closing the company, so I can't get my money. I was never paid, and it was like, well, you didn't pay anybody either, So, and in civil suits, as far as I understand from my education, I do have a criminal justice degree. I'm not a lawyer, but the uh, the people who have more evidence win, and I think that Tad has way more evidence and way more stuff against Manly than he has against them. Fact based evidence. So.
I think the vibe I got, and I don't really know anyone personally, but I mean from the going to the workshop in L.A. and kind of bringing up that name of Jason Manley.
Oh,
Um,
don't
that
do it.
Yeah, like every named artist that knows that name doesn't like it. It's an easy
No,
way to
like
make the
it's
conversation go south.
yeah, he's referred to as that guy. You
And
know, like it's
yeah, it's like Voldemort in Harry Potter, but he should not be named. But yeah, but no, but I think the amount of people who have a massive amount of talent and like career under their belt to
hmm
have those kind of thoughts on the guy, like if you're gonna side with someone at all, if you feel the need to choose a side in this whole
hmm
debacle, which I think the best thing to do is just to see what happens and just sit back. Unless you're completely affected by it, it's really nothing really. It's just a bunch of gossip. We're doing now is gossip.
right. It's just yeah. It's just it's
But
this is what, but it's relevant.
if
This is in
yeah
our industry. It bothered me,
yeah
and other people are curious as to what happened.
if
I
you're
was directly involved with Ed,
like the
so.
amount of people I saw, like after talking to you and then like seeing the amount of people that were kind of upset by something that had gone on, and then no one really talked too much,
hmm
like because they didn't really want to talk about this annoying thing that happened to them. Um, it's hard to side with the guy that's no longer the artist when there's a bunch of artists that are
hmm
mad at that guy, and he used to be an artist, but he doesn't really do art anymore. So I feel like
No.
he just maybe he has personal work, but like um, anyway, that's kind of what was going on as of like there's really 48 hours. I think they made everything public. It's only been
hmm
like a couple days. So if you're wondering what's going on, what it all means, there's some
Go to their
insight there.
Facebook.
Yeah, and you can
I
actually
mean,
just read it all. It's just
they're the ones that posted up all their personal shit. So
which I would
it's public opinion and that's weird because public opinion, it doesn't fucking matter in the court. Like you get
yeah
in there, there's no, maybe there's a jury, but then there's none of the internet people that have sided with you. You can't like look at all these people that agreed with me on Facebook. It's like
yeah.
that's completely irrelevant in the court. You
I
got the
think
judge, you got the
yeah.
lawyers, and then you got you got the jury if it goes to trial. But then these people are going to judge you by your character, by your behavior, and you know and that's the thing that you can't be like, look at all these people that support me. It's that's just completely irrelevant. Why make it public? Why shame face? That just makes me think, I never want to work with you, because if I get screwed over by you, you're going to say I screwed you over, and that then you're going to make up things that never happened and put them in a forum somewhere and be like, look, because I said this, these are the links I wrote, whatever. I
Yeah.
don't care.
I think that's something that I like any kind of business uh, any kind of business organization, whether it's nonprofit or for profit, would probably advise against posting that kind of intercompany.
Oh,
Uh, I
yeah.
think that's something that I think I was surprised just that they posted anything at all, and so now it's
Yeah.
like people are going to draw strong opinions one way or the other, when it could have kind of been more of a hush hush. You'll hear about it here and there, which is kind of how
hmm
it's been. Like I only heard
hmm
about it in person with people talking, and that was really it. And you don't really see anything online except for when Brad Rigney kind of came out and made a big. Well, he was angry because he wasn't getting paid,
It's like,
and I would have
look,
done this. I would
yeah.
have done the same thing. So, like
Yeah.
when it comes to like people that owe you money, you either go to court or you gotta do something, and
Yeah.
you don't just be quiet. Like people deserve to know that there's a company out there that's screwing people over, and if that's what he felt he should do, then like I was prepared to talk to people about this company that wasn't going to. I thought they weren't going to sign a contract with me, and I've heard talk that they weren't that great as a business to work for
Right.
in general. So like at a certain point, it's like, when do people talk about it and just tell people, like, don't work for them, just don't work for them, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna have to change their policies at some point because they're gonna realize,
Yeah.
oh, no one wants to work for us because like the word's gotten out that we kind of suck, you know.
Mhm.
It's like Yelp, you know, like if there was no Yelp, people would be going to these really crappy restaurants and places all the time, and
Mhm.
some places, you know,
Were you saying the
huh?
reviews on Pact? You were saying the reviews on Pact were kind of similar to your experience.
Yeah, the reviews. I'm a
So,
member of
yeah.
Art Pact, which I recommend to join if you're not already. It's only like $30 for the year, but Art Pact, you literally, it's like a Yelp for companies. You can look at a
Mhm.
company and look up the history about what it was like for other people to work for them, and based on their history, I found that they weren't too great, but I was at least able to go in knowing what to watch out for versus people that didn't know and got really annoyed when they found out later that like they were paid late or something, you know. And it's not
Mhm.
going to happen with me now because I have a nice contract protecting me with a late fee incorporated into it. So like,
Nice.
you know, like there's this thing where like uh, at a certain point people need to make the public aware. And in this case though, I feel like there's too much hearsay. Um, but I had to side with the people
You got to go
I
with your
know.
gut.
Yeah, I gotta go with my gut. And I have people I know personally, like I know people that have directly been affected by what's going on, and they're not too
Mhm.
happy with Jason Manley, specific. Our friend Miles, and I won't say his last name just for the sake of
Right.
whether he wants me to say that or not. But we have a friend who I think was, you know, did work, and they didn't get paid. So you know, again,
Mhm.
you know, you gotta talk, otherwise someone else is gonna fall into the trap. Sometimes it's good,
Mhm.
sometimes it's not. Though you gotta like use your best judgment though. So anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and
Yeah.
let me see if CJ's online. I might bring him on. CJ, you on? Everyone can see our conversation on my damn screen. Uh, you online? Everyone's just like, oh, so you were talking about stuff earlier. Anyway, we'll go ahead
You know,
and
it's
yeah.
you know what, that was the thing I asked um in 2011 when I went to the uh, Massive Black workshop, San Francisco. Marko Djordjevic, Koro, Kekai, and one of the Steambot guys. God, I'm horrible. I can't remember his name. Uh,
In
anyway,
Austin.
they were having a panel, and it was basically just a Q&A, like ask whatever the hell you want, and it was really good. So I got up, the courage to go and ask, like, look, hey, if I want to start a studio, what are some of the pitfalls I need to avoid, and what are some of the things I'm going to have to make sure I do? And Marco said, you're going to have to do the lion's share of the work if you're actually running the studio, and you're going to have to, be the fucking boss. And Koro said, if you're working with someone and they're rubbing you the wrong way, listen to it the first time, and listen to your gut feeling. Like you've got to trust it. Like, and I'd like to think he was referring to you know maybe a lot of his past experiences, or maybe specifically Jason Manley, because that had just recently happened within the last year.
Yeah.
Um, and well, they were trying to get him out there. So, um, and I didn't have a great relationship with Albino Dragon, but I was just as nice as I could possibly be, and they made me pretty miserable. But the when I left, I tried to leave on good terms because I didn't want to burn any bridges, because that's the one thing I learned from Jason Manley, and that was one of the
That's the
things
one
he
thing I learned.
always yeah. That was always the thing that he decided, or he would always teach, like, don't burn bridges. You never know, and these people are going to be the ones that are going to have to help you out. I just thought that was, like the weirdest thing once, like I would always hear him say that. And then when I learned that, and it was, afterwards when I learned how much, nobody really wants to work with that guy anymore. And the people that do are just unwilling to acknowledge, all this stuff, and, or they ignore it and they don't want to form an opinion. Um, because, this isn't set in stone. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to like the guy or defend him or whatever you want. I'm allowed to have mine. So it's, and everybody should be okay with that. Everybody should be all right with, like working with this guy or not. Just know that you might get screwed over, or the people he's working with, he might be screwing in the middle of screwing over.
I guess the thing, even if you don't know for sure about somebody, let's say it's not Jason, let's say it's some other guy, but there's some situation where this guy was in some kind of dispute with another company, and it's somewhat like this. All you need to know is that he's got a history. Something has gone on between him and another company. Something happened, and you need to just be aware that in the past something happened. When it comes to like it's like in this case, if you didn't know who Jason Manley was, Massive Black, or anything like that, and he was going to go work for some other company, and it was your company, you would have to look at the track record and just say, whether I believe this or not believe it, something happened, and I just need to be aware that something might happen.
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna look you up. I mean, that's the thing, and I mean, you gotta. If we are in a very egotistical, narcissistic career path, as much as I hate to do that because I grew up really religious, but like the whole thing with doing this was, you have to market yourself, you have to be sellable, you have to walk this sort of path of humbleness and be willing to accept the pitfalls of speaking out and just saying dumb shit, or putting up pictures of you drinking, or if you
got a picture of like a sock on your private parts and nothing else on, you gotta take that stuff down. I mean, you might not get a job. Sorry.
I mean, you're representing unless you're representing Hanes socks or something.
Hanes
like
socks.
Those are the things.
Specifically their branch of socks.
Yep. Hanes cock socks. So when you put you put yourself out there like that, it's basically just like, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know if y'all have June bugs where y'all listeners are, but it's basically like having, you're looking for someone to work with, and then a bunch of fucking June bugs are just like slamming at the door, and they're like, look at me, I haven't done anything wrong, but they're repeatedly fucking up their whole life just by being themselves. You gotta have some self-realization at some point. You gotta have some self-respect. You gotta go get a life coach, go on a fasting Buddhist journey or something. Like, you have to realize, like, there's more to life than sitting in front of your screen and being accepted and loved by people on the internet. Like, it's, and that's like the last thing that guy has, I think. But if we're talking about like hypothetically, you got to go with the history. You got to trust your gut. But yeah, but I'm sad about the whole Tad thing closing. I was part of my identity for so long. It was who I was for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, Kern folks.
I can't imagine like finding out UT Fine Art School's closing, and like there's this big scandal. There's a big scandal, and like we're not gonna. We're probably not going to be opening back up. Which is what? Like, Jesus, what happened?
Yeah, it's
how
like,
did this happen? How did it get to this point? I think that's one of the questions people might be asking, is they don't know what's going on. Like, how did it get to this point? And it's a slow thing that
you're gonna have to talk. Yeah, you're gonna have to. It's a long story. You're gonna have to make friends with somebody who was in, around, or near it,
And that wants to
which
talk
may
about
never
it
happen.
more.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have to buy him a couple drinks and be like, look,
I want to
what
know
happened?
this
You
shit.
know,
Yeah,
like
what happened?
what happened, buddy? Like, I got to know. You know,
uh,
like,
if you find Carlton at a workshop in the future, he's saying he wants the free drinks. And
yeah, I
and
might start hitting him with that.
yeah, and then yeah, but yeah, I think going to workshops. That's another little quick plug for workshops in general, whether they're for Massive Black or otherwise. You should go to them because you'll learn more information than you'll ever find online. Most artists are pretty good about being business-like and not talking about stuff, like
Yeah,
whether it's businesses to work for and not work for, or what. Like I found that right off the bat, certain sensitive information that an artist would only tell you in a workshop because they know you're serious because you showed up at that workshop. And
right.
if there's some information you're like just wanting to find out about, sometimes you just gotta. You're not going to hear about it unless it's in person or unless it's like on a private Skype conversation where you getting to learn just some in-depth information because you personally know somebody. And like
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this information until I met Carlton, and yeah,
Oh
and
yeah,
some of
that's
the
right.
TAD people that are still here, like in Austin, because lots of the people that worked at the Austin location are still in Texas and Austin specifically, and they are all. I think they're all elsewhere now because there's no more TAD. So unless they went and made
Hmm.
the move to the Art Connection, that's like I think it's mainly based in Kansas City now.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, people that first 2 years of TAD, people skyrocketed. Um, you know, people's skills and fundamental, like they realize what the fundamentals are. You
Yeah,
know, like that was the whole like you know, a lot of these live streams, a lot of these. Well, I haven't watched a lot of these live streams actually, but I know that like on Level Up, they just say, you know, you gotta get your fundamentals. You gotta get your no one ever asks, hey, what are fundamentals?
and that's
Like
something that
that always
students.
freaked me out. Like how can you just have a blanketed saying, you know, it's like saying I'm an artist. It's like, okay, what's your market? You know, like what kind
Yeah,
of art do you do? And so it was like, you know, like to me to learn that the fundamentals are perspective, color theory, ideation, narrative, you know, drawing and painting technique wasn't necessarily uh, a fundamental thing because once the fundamentals are set in your mind for composition and any technique, it doesn't matter how you arrive at the end.
yeah, that doesn't really.
If you want to learn how to work fast, there are ways to learn how to work fast and do lasso painting and you know do spit painting and texture brushes and mixer brushes and the you know the stuff with school. It was like you're either gonna you know, and one of the things I learned was like you're either gonna spend time or you're gonna spend money. You know, like Miguel, how long do you think that you would have taken to learn that stuff outside of going to UT?
Um, I I think if I had not gone to UT, well, I mean, it's taken 2 years, like to learn
Hmm.
everything because I didn't really study art in UT the way that
Hmm.
I used I found what I needed to learn in order to work in a haunted house, and I exploited what I could learn for the haunted house industry. So like I didn't use the education the way like someone that wanted to get into the gallery art world would have. And also, I didn't like take really any drawing classes because I was gonna be doing more sculpting and mold making, so I didn't really focus on any of that. So I learned everything seriously, like sat down and tried to learn everything this past couple of years since I left my job. So that's like it's
Right.
taken about 2 years now, but that's me having drawn all my life, growing up
Hmm.
drawing. I've kept sketchbooks since I was in sixth grade, so I can go back to my sixth grade sketchbook, look at all my characters, look at everything I drew, all the way up until like yesterday. So I've been
Yeah.
drawing seriously, kind of drawing and doing sketchbooks since sixth grade. So that's different for anyone that like decided I want to be an illustrator. I've never drawn before in my life, and then I hear that track record's
Yeah.
normally 4 years. I think 4 or 5 years for like
Yeah.
that.
And I think that
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there's no group of people that they're, you know, that they can find online that's regular, um, it's kind of
It's hard.
it's interesting how, yeah, I mean, you know, you're gonna sit by yourself for a long time, and then you may not improve at all because you may have pigeonholed yourself into a certain type of art or just drawing or manga. For fuck's sake, nothing against manga, but you know, it's like where a lot of people start
I
out,
gotta teach that class too. It's coming up next
and
month.
I keep forgetting that, but I kind of use that like a, you know, when I first the first art classes I took, it was when I was ready to be career change. Like I was already 27 years old. I was
Oh
like, all
yeah.
right, I'm not gonna work in the criminal justice industry anymore. This is garbage. I'm gonna end up drinking myself to death or smoking myself to death or, you know, killing myself because that was the most depressing. Don't work in the correctional institutions ever, ever, ever. Not even if it's just for a fucking job. Like I'm like they're hiring right now. I'm not going back there for a part-time job. Work at Starbucks and make awesome friends. Don't deal with people who raped and murdered. Okay, just lesson learned. So
Don't deal with people
anyway,
who raped and murdered.
yeah, yeah, who think they deserve every fucking right on the anyway. So um,
So that's another tale to be told. Uh, anyway,
um,
sorry.
so yeah, so you know, you go to school. Um, you're gonna start learning about what else is out there. Like, I didn't know who Mark English was. I didn't know who Bernie Fuchs was. I didn't know who Paul Bonner was.
Oh
You know, I
hey,
didn't
yeah.
know
If you and
all
like
those things.
right now too, like if you're listening to this and just like lurking on the stream, and you don't know some of these names, you should look them up, because like this is the time when you should look up these names now and just figure out who he's talking
Yeah.
about. Like if some
I mean,
name just got spit out there, you know.
yeah, like I pigeonholed myself when I started out just as a hobbyist, and it was kind of a side passion. And it was strange because uh, you know, I only knew conceptart.org, the people I like to look at on there, the massive black artists and their art, you know. So and I thought like that was, to me, like that's it. Like you know, you get to design monsters and guys with big guns and girls with no armor and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I thought that was the pointless armor. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, and like I didn't care about um you know, like drawing skills or, you know, or you know, anything. You know, I'd buy books that you'd see at Barnes and Noble, like 50 ways to draw a dragon, or like 20 ways to draw robots, you know, like by Christopher Hart, or
Oh
it's like
man.
draw a circle, now draw the rest of the face. You know,
Yeah.
it's just sort of
Now draw it.
yeah, no academic stuff
Now,
whatsoever.
now draw, you idiot. Now
Yeah.
draw it. Fucking draw it.
Now you
So,
got an owl.
it's
Yeah.
rated R, people. Rated R. Sorry if there's anyone listening. I'm gonna be swearing a bit.
Um, yeah, it was. But I think it's definitely, it's gonna shoot you forward. Uh, if you know, if you can join a group of people, and not only that, like now I have friends all over the world, because there were students in Russia, there were students in Paraguay. Samuel Araya, who's an amazing person and an amazing artist. You know, I didn't have, you know, I thought it broadens your horizon. You know, I thought that you had to draw and paint everything, and you had to do it all by hand, right? Like, well, you know, we're living in a digital age. You see Mike here using reference. He's turning the whole thing. You know, you know,
Well, like,
you
Mike,
don't
thank
you don't. Yeah,
You
I
know,
always
talking
say.
about me.
Yeah, so it was like, and Shadi Safadi, he says the same things in his little 6 videos he's got on YouTube. It's like, um, like no one gives a fuck. Like when I was working at Albino Dragon, um, he, my boss couldn't tell the difference between a photo bashed concept art piece and a 40-hour painting. Like he had no clue, and he didn't want to know. He just wanted his product made. And that's what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Like, how fast are you going to be? What tactics are you going to use? And what's going to make you viable in the industry? I think, as far as artistic stuff goes, what's going to set you apart? Um, I think that Dan Warren is an amazing example because of how detailed he is. He is now sought out because of how detailed he is. Like, people were saying, "Oh, you don't paint like that," or whatever. But it's like, no, this guy's now marketable,
Yeah.
like, because of who he is, and he's going to be recognized for it. And then changing style is a whole nother thing. Like, you just learn to draw and paint one way. You're going to get bored really quick. I mean, how many times are you going to draw a dragon before you're like, I'm going to blow my fucking brains out, and if I have to draw another stupid dragon, like, those are the things, like, we're human. You want to go and you want to make friends. And I think that if you're go to a community college, if you want to make art friends, go to an online school and work hard by yourself if you want to. But you've got to also be almost a historian. I mean, my favorite teacher has got a library that would fill from floor to ceiling all the walls of my room. And then I realized, like, oh shit, I need to be in this for the long haul if I'm going to be helpful to the art world or helpful to the community and myself. And I got to know why people were doing this and how they started. And, I got to start collecting art.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Justin Sweet had a panel at Spectrum Art Live 3 the past few weeks ago where he said that he was just looking up old masters and Andrew Wyeth and all these people who he found at the bookstore, because there wasn't really stuff online yet. It wasn't on all over the internet. You can't just go to, and by the way, if people don't know about Google Art Project, you need to go to that now and view all of the master paintings for free up close and discover what's out there and in history. And so anyway, what I was getting at was, if you're gonna go to school, take the leap. Make some friends.
You gotta go all in and like be the most serious student in the school.
Yeah, don't go there just to make friends. Go there and like work really fucking because you'd be like, oh, it's college all over again, But like if you go into it willing to learn, you may start learning stuff that you didn't want to learn. Like when I went to Lane Community College in Eugene, Oregon for that first semester, because TAD wasn't a online school yet. She had us starting to do self-portraits in sumi ink and water with these huge plastic sheets. And I was like, I don't want to do this. This has nothing to do with what I want to do. But I just dove into it and tried to get really into the mark making. And we had to make a self-portrait. And I have, and I lost this fear of creating and actually seeing what would come out of my subconscious by reacting to the sumi ink. And it was infatuating for other people to watch, because they're 18, 19, going to community college, and here's this 27-year-old guy that's married, and he has this 1,000-yard stare at the stuff that he's making for 3 hours, and people would always come up and ask me, like, and to look at my sketchbook. Like, I remember one time I would go and draw in the cafeteria every morning before that semester, and I filled up a sketchbook, and it wasn't great. I mean, it was just heads, and it was just demon heads and different redesigns of Street Fighter characters, and um, but by the end of the semester, when I showed like my first finished digital painting, like
Sorry, I heard you
people
say
came up.
heads. I just like my sketchbooks
and
from like high school too. Just the head.
yeah,
I don't know.
like people were just like, "Oh, it's so amazing," but like it's not like they're infatuated with the art. I mean, because they can't tell that it's good yet or not good yet. They're just amazed that you're sitting down and doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't, they can't tell that it sucks because it's just better than what they're able to do. And I think that people are infatuated with, the things that people dedicate themselves to. And if you are serious about learning, I think you should recognize when you're not getting what you need. I mean, there were even moments in TAD where I was like, man, this is not what I need. And I went down the illustration track, and that was probably the biggest mistake I ever made because I wanted to be in entertainment style illustration. I wanted to be able to freelance. I'm not a moody, amazing editorial painter. I'm just not. Like I'd rather paint monsters and armor and magic and Dungeons and Dragons and really mechs, and I'm not gonna be this dentist lobby Time magazine illustrator that all these it's like it's art you see in the dentist lobby.
That's like something I want to eventually like try my hand at, like see if I can't do something. My favorite illustrators are editorial illustrators, but I think because my favorite illustrators are editorial illustrators, it'll help me bring out new ideas with kind of the fantasy entertainment stuff that I am.
Oh yeah, and if you want to be that type of illustrator, get near or buy Sterling Hunley as fast as you fucking can, because that guy is the man. I mean, every time I thought, I was being really, really deep and going into discovering ideation and thinking about stuff and filling up a sketchbook, he would just blow my mind and be like, well, you're not even thinking about this or about this or about this and how people will perceive that in this culture and that. And I was like, holy crap, like this guy is a genius, and he's not going to say that. Like, that's my opinion of the man, like this guy would just turn my world upside down. And art will do that. Art school will do that. You'll probably go to art school thinking one thing, and then you're going to realize, oh man, I fucking hate art. Or like, I hate learning all this stuff. Like, I don't want to learn any of this stuff. I just want to draw these things. And then, it's like people wanting to, do people learn how to play guitar without learning the scales? I mean, really well. Like I can play, simple gifts on the guitar, these simple gifts. Like but that's all I can play. I don't know the scales. I don't know the things. I don't know, like I'm not, unless there's like some amazing one in a lifetime moment where I can play on the guitar in front of a million people. Like, that's not going to happen. But so if you want to draw manga characters and not have clients and not understand why you're not getting better, then go to DeviantArt, and keep posting there, because people will give you little smiley, emoticons and will say, hey, this is awesome, because they're 9 and 12 years old. So, don't don't get your ego built back up. Don't do this if you want to do it for a living. Go learn from the people who are doing it for a living. Don't go to the internet random classes that people are making you pay for that aren't actually teaching you fundamentals. They're just teaching you what they know. Like, go to someone like Ron Lemon, who's basically a historian and like a goddamn sensei. Like I've never met anyone who knows everything. And and if he doesn't, he's gonna buy every book and research everything. And these people dedicate their lives, and if you're in the same route, you'll come to that moment where you'll come to a decision. After my first year of TAD, I came to the decision moment where, do I want to keep doing this and keep sucking the rest of my life and not being satisfied with what I make? Or am I just going to have to accept the fact that that's what art is you are constantly learning the rest of your life. And once you stop learning, you're no longer making art. Like, you're not. Go to Spectrum and look and see how everyone there who's like a grandmaster and all, they're all teachers. And everyone else was a student of theirs, and they're just starting up their career. Like, it's teachers and students. It's a learned academic society that is really way more badass than in my opinion, than like learning computer codes and like going and being a lecturer on history. I think this is way more fun and way cooler because we get to be creative and make things out of thin air and people will buy them. Like, that still blows my mind that we're making something that's not even real as digital painters, and it's completely bought, and there's a market for everything that you do. And I mean, I've been doing this longer than Miguel, and he's gotten more freelance jobs than I've gotten, because he's marketing himself, because he's meeting people, because he's sending out emails, because he's got the balls to hear a possible no. And then it's that whole thing, like, now that TAD is done,
That's a big two
I'm going to be
jobs,
focusing.
by the way.
Oh,
like...
well, yeah, more jobs than I've ever gotten. I mean, I was hired full time, yes, but I don't consider that a success.
Well, the thing is, like, when you announced you had your full-time job, I remember going, "What?" Like, it was the weirdest job, and it was here in Austin, and it was like a studio illustration job, which, if any of y'all
doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. When it was like, he was working.
There's a reason.
Well, yeah, he was working downtown though, like a nice building downtown. Like. It was like he was going into work at a nice building and drawing dragons full time, and they bought him like a Cintiq, and like it was just like, what is this? He was like, oh, they got me a MacBook Air to work on too, and I was just like, damn it, who is it? Do they need more people? I can draw dragons. I was like, I mean, like, it's a big thing about that. Like, it's a competition that grows, but it's a healthy competition. Like, it's just like, shit, I need to get better now. Carlton's like working, he's doing it, and then like
there's no one that is ever going to come up to you and be like, hey, I hate your success and the way you draw dragons. Like, like, how long are you going to really listen to that person? Like, they're not going to have the balls to do anything except online anyway. But, like, it's always friendly. This whole society, if you're helpful and humble and friendly, like, you're going to get along with everybody just fine.
Yes. Quickly, so we kind of transitioned into the art school chat, which I was going to start. We started off talking about the Jason Manley thing, and we're going to go more into like our experiences at the various schools. Like I said, you went to TAD and the online school. I went to the University of Texas Fine Art Department, and I studied studio art. But I didn't really take the classes. I used the classes to my own ends, which would be to get a job at the haunted house industry. And it worked out pretty well because I got a full-time job and I was working at the haunted house industry for a while. But I think many people that went there, it's a fine art school, not like an illustration school, and not like an entertainment art school. So it was this weird not discord, but like a disconnect from like the fine art department and the like the theater school, right? So like if you were an artist at the fine art school, you weren't part of the theater school because you were part of the studio art department. And you weren't part of the film school because that's the film school, and you're part of the studio art. And like there was this weird, at least when I was going there was a weird situation where certain schools would interact and have projects together, but like for some reason the studio art, at least to my knowledge, wasn't one of those schools that was getting together. I found out, like, I just remember thinking things like, well, why don't they contact the design students in the fine art department to make like the posters and stuff for the theater department. Maybe they do, but like
As you're walking down the sidewalk with your turtleneck, just like with a baguette,
I didn't
wondering,
have the. Yeah, it was very much a gallery art.
why don't
world.
they like me?
It was a conceptual art, not concept art. So it's like I took performance art class.
Even
I took
worse.
Video art class. I took Video 1 Transmedia. Which transmedia, if you don't know what transmedia is, it's very.
Sexual media.
It's basically transmedia is trans the word prefix for moving, translation, trans moving. And media, so it's any kind of time-based media, whether it's performance or video or like a projection or something. And
yeah,
it's like anything that's not. It's like sculpture with moving parts or just video, like those they call them endurance videos, where like it's like an art video that just runs on loop for like 4 hours, and like part of the statement is that it runs for 4 hours, and it all says something about the piece. And like there's legitimate thought put into it, but there's so much thought that lots of the time the fundamentals aren't stressed, and it's all about more the concept behind all the pieces. So like there's lots of artists that are there that can't draw like a cast drawing, but they've got some more complex ideas, and they're trying the best to work those ideas out with whatever medium they can think of. But
like spray painting a rock neon green or something.
Stuff like that. Let me. I'm gonna pull CJ into the conversation real quick. Let me see if he's still on board, and we're just gonna talk a little bit about. Where is CJ? Here, everyone's gonna see my Skype conversation. I'm adding him to the call.
Hi, CJ.
Let's see if he answers. CJ. Did I add him?
Hello?
Hey, CJ, you there?
There he is.
You're on
Yeah,
live stream. We're streaming you live.
1 second. Oh, hey,
You're
everybody.
on air with the guys.
The guys.
So I can't say fucking shit like that, right?
We gotta hold on.
We gotta like cut him off.
We got a sneeze button. We got a sneeze button. All right.
So this okay.
We'll
So
Sorry, I was just checking the weather.
this is my quick virtual introduction. So this is CJ Marsh.
Yep.
CJ Marsh. Sorry, I realized I've never said your last name. I only know you as CJ. And
No, it's all right.
he, if y'all joined me on the stream before, he was part of the Daily Study group, and we chatted, just talked about stuff. And CJ is we're just talking about art school right now. And one thing that CJ was he was an early member of the Crimson Daggers Forum, which is a forum that formed from conceptart.org, started by Dave Raposa and Dan Warren. It's got its own, like, the idea of Crimson Daggers, it's a big study group, and for a while, the two of us were doing the daily study group, and I think both of us, either we had to change our study habits, or, like, I had to do real work at one point. Like, I had to actually, like, stop studying and do something, like, for my portfolio. So that's, like, we took a break from that, but we'll be going back into that as soon as I get some more free time. I will, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm still studying and doing my stuff too. It's hard for me to study on streams and talk and actually learn shit about it and actually retain.
Yeah, it's different for everyone, like I think like I'm having trouble talking some because I'm trying to work, but yeah, so CJ,
good at it.
What's your history with art school and whatnot? Like, what's your experience?
Well, I didn't ever go to art school.
Where can we find your work also?
Oh, which one to give you guys?
CJ was formerly a moderator on CG Hub, but
I don't like to talk about it.
We all know what happened to that.
Yeah. Here, I'll just link you guys my DeviantArt page.
Jason Manley.
They blew it all to hell.
Jason Manley. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Here, you guys can just check out my stuff there. if anything.
That's linked in the chat.
They did it.
They finally did
They
it.
blew it. Damn you. Damn you all to hell.
Anyway.
Oh, nice.
I was that guy in front of the giant robot statue of the CG Hub.
The guy in front. Oh, what?
Sweet.
No, God.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the statue of CG Hub and the beach.
Yeah. Yeah,
you,
I was
you
that
came
guy
back from your
on the
journey
beach.
and you realized what had happened, where you truly were.
Oh,
You're like, where's CG Hub? Wait.
God.
Oh, God, I am on CG Hub. I'm on
Yep.
CG Hub. Anyway, sorry, that's real meta. I was getting too meta. It's like, wait, what are they talking about now? It's Planet of the Apes, people. Planet of the Apes, the original.
Yeah.
Charlton
Yeah.
Heston, the president of the NRA, or the former president of the NRA. I don't know
Good
if he's
movies,
still,
though.
So yeah,
if he's
art
alive.
education. What's your
Art education.
stance?
What's your story? What's your story, CJ?
Yeah, what's your
Story?
rags to riches story, success story? That's all the people want to hear.
That's all the people want to
Gotcha.
hear. How many
Rags to
clients have
riches.
you
Well,
gotten under your
technically, I'm
belt?
still
When did
in
you win
rags.
When did you win your first
Ah.
Oscar? Typical.
All right. Well, when I was growing up, I was looking into art school and looking into doing all the whole, art institutes and, all the others that are all over the fucking place, like Pasadena Art College or whichever ones there were. But, like Art Center was another one. I kind of didn't have the money to do it. And I really didn't want to put myself into almost 90 grand in fucking debt. So I decided to kind of look around as other options. And, I started finding, conceptart.org and, finding people, you can self-study, self-teach. And I like that idea to just kind of, you didn't have to really spend. I mean, you still kind of had to spend money, but it was just useful tools. Sorry about the dogs if you guys hear them. So like Miguel said, the Dagger started up with Dave, and I really like the idea of everyone getting up every day and early, doing your studies. The whole thing was about improving. The whole thing was about improvement. I started just kind of my journey through there and haven't really stopped. I've been drawing since I was in fucking kindergarten. And I actually have a kindergarten sketchbook somewhere laying around. It's funny.
He's talked the same way since kindergarten.
I like to draw like I'm in kindergarten.
Yeah, me too. Pick up a big blue crayon and
Just
Stick it
it's
up
a
my
blue
nose.
Just stick it up here. Not even draw. This is how you draw.
no,
This is
take
how
the
you
blue
art.
crayon, go up your nose, then draw with the orange crayon.
Mm-hmm.
But no, just since then I've been still just self-teaching. I find a lot of articles that I like to read. I just always observe everything. Always try to learn from what I'm retaining to do. I have a end goal, and I wouldn't say it's really an end goal. I have a goal at the moment that I'm trying to reach, and just do stepping stones pretty much. I one day would love to work in a studio as a character concept artist. Same as everybody else. Blah blah blah. But right now I'm. That's kind of at the skill level I'm at. Is I feel like I'm not quite there yet. So I'm kind of doing stepping stones into branching into illustration and more the tabletop and fantasy genre, which is more my forte. And then just kind of work my way through that up, work through the freelancing, then kind of start building up some more rapport, get some more work under my belt, start, get my skill level higher, you could say.
Cool.
And, I'm always watching videos, following along classes, even though some of them are borrowed. Some paid. Most paid for. Most of them are paid for.
Yeah.
No, I'm still may or may not be watching videos from torrents.
Well,
So.
what we're trying to say is we all owe Brad Rigney some
No, I bought Brad's video.
money. No, I bought
I'll
his
say
too.
that publicly.
I
Brad
owe him some
can
money.
have his money till
That was the
later.
first one. That was the first one that I bought actually. That was because that was the video I saw and I had seen his work and I was like, how the hell is he doing this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty crazy. It's just like he just sits
spends
there.
120 hours a week.
Yeah,
I
it's
see.
just like
okay.
he just sits there and works it until it looks like the photorealistic drawing.
Gotcha.
Like, oh, okay, I could have done that. I could have just spent that much time.
Yeah.
But then anyway.
Like that's when I went to that workshop and I asked Kekai, like you get to ask all these people these questions, and so it's like I asked him, I was like, is it really just about the time you put in? He was like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you fucking draw. Like it was like if you put in the time, you're gonna be paid. Like that's eventually, like that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was I gonna tell you about? Oh, so I'm just gonna talk quickly about my experience at the actual art school university setting, which some people wonder about. I enjoyed my education as a way to kind of like a stepping stone to the real world, but one thing I do know is that if I were to go back and do it again, I would research I'd research the instructors properly, because like if you really wanted to do fine art, UT is a great place to do art, right? You go to art school. And specifically, if you do want to do transmedia and video art, they have some really great transmedia video art professors. But in terms of like illustration, there's no illustrators there. And what you really need to do when it comes to art school is like do your research on who's teaching there and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look them up and the work doesn't speak to you and you're not really that impressed, then you just gotta not go to that school. Like that's one of the things that now, learning kind of how things have worked, it's easy for me to see like, I should have done the research on the teachers, but like you can make the education work for you still. So what I did is I took a bunch of sculpture classes, specifically to learn the techniques of like mold making and learn about materials. And then I took the video classes so I get my hands on like video editing programs and play around and learn in a university setting. And I didn't learn the way like a film student learns, but I learned enough to use the program, which is great because I could use that at the work. My job with the haunted house, I had to do videos. And, I knew the programs better than the art director there. And it all worked out in the end because I geared my education towards the job I wanted. And that's something you can always do. But the one thing that would help more is if you found someone that you look up to that is teaching. And then you can go and actually study under them. And, directly learn from them. And that's how the old masters did it. That's how Tad was doing it. That's, like, if you want to do illustration, you should, Tad was a great place. If you want to do, like, concept art, Tad had concept artists. But, that's the main thing I would recommend anyone that's listening to this.
There's like Red Engine, there's CGMA, there's Nomon School.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kind. Like, Ron Lemon teaches at Nomon School as well. So it's like, it's like if you want to do what these people are doing, you need to also join these groups. Virtual Plein Air. You need to join Spit Paint on Facebook. Virtual Plein Air is just recent. That one's off the chain. People are drawing these Google map images of the most scenic vistas ever. But you're going to learn so much from that. Like, every day people are posting like 20, 30 images on each of these. Those are where, like, Facebook has kind of killed a lot of forums, but like they're out there. It looks like we got a question for the streamers. How much is business skills part of freelance work? I've heard that it can go up to 50%. Kind of got me worried since I'm bad at that.
Well, okay, so that depends, right? So like business of freelance, it's not like you're not gonna have to like learn to do a cash register or anything, or like there's certain things that you need to learn though, like and this was I was gonna tell you too about the art school education. And one thing I did learn going to college is I had to take classes that didn't interest me. Like I had to take astronomy, I had to take biology, I had to take like intro to math, rhetoric. Rhetoric is basically how to. It's actually a really good class because it's about how to argue and write. Like argue a point is in like discuss, and like validly discuss your point in paper and writing. And
that's why I always lose arguments with you.
But one thing I do know, and I think Carlton, because you did go to the justice, you got your criminal justice degree, is that you probably came away from the university. People that go to university, in my opinion, have a way, they learn how to communicate with people. Because you have to talk to your professors. And you don't get to talk to just a bunch of artists if you go to university. You got to talk to like the astronomy professor. You got to talk to you got to learn how just to talk to people. And beyond
you got to be cool. I mean, you got to have at least a spell of your life where you go out and get some social skills.
Yeah.
Like that's because I met a guy a couple of years back that he was 19, and this guy, he needed to go to college. Like he didn't need to sit in his room and paint, for fuck's sake. He needed to go to college and experience what relationships are like, how you have to communicate with people and tell them what you're doing if you change your mind. It was just simple stuff. But yeah, like as far as freelance work goes, you've heard that it can be 50%. Like why would that have you worried? Since you're bad at that, what is it that you need to learn? If you're teaching yourself how to art, you need to realize you can teach yourself how to do other things.
How to
like,
art.
Like that's the sort of thing. You are going to art school. Well, like are those teachers working? If they're there, ask them that as well. Like from what I've learned and what Miguel's learned, and I'm sure CJ's learned, it's you're marketing a product that has a market. Like we're not selling anything to the food industry.
Here's okay. Here's something. So like, figure out what you want to do, right? And the most basic.
Going to art school.
Yeah, the most basic way you figure out how to market yourself is you figure out what you want to do, and that might take a while. But you also need to just pick something and start somewhere. So even if you don't quite know what you're going to do yet, picking something now and working at something is going to help you. And then you can transition. It's easier to transition. So like I used to be the production designer at the haunted house I worked at. So people would email me asking if they could work as a makeup artist for the year. They were like, I'm a makeup artist. I'd love to work with you, right? And so this is basically the artist stepping out of their way to contact me. And the one thing they needed to understand, which I kind of tried to tell them, was that we don't hire makeup artists. We train our employees to be makeup artists. And if they had done the research on our company, they would have known that, but they didn't. So like, you got to first do the research on where you want to work for, and like, if you want to do magic, and I haven't done any magic cards, but like I want to work there eventually. But there's a blog that like the art directors write on the magic website, and you can read about what they talk about, and you can find their like personal websites online if you do enough digging, and you can see the work that they like for the magic cards and the work they like personally and the work they do if they're working artists, and you can start gearing your work towards that market. And you gotta like specialize a bit, because you specialize. Like right now I get lots of commissions for scary things because I have lots of monsters on my website. So like I get commissions from like AEG. I did a commission from them to do like this demon circus guy, and he was like, "This probably be fun for you because I see lots of monsters on your website. You're probably gonna like this." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. It's really fun. It is because I draw lots of monsters. So like I'm gonna be the guy that draws monsters, scary demons and stuff." So like, find out what you want to do, and you got to target it. So like whether it's creatures or landscapes, or if it's like editorial illustration, you got to pick a style, a specific style, like a really specific style.
Yeah.
And that's like that's different market entirely. And there's also lots of resources for that. Tomer Hanuka has a link on his website that has a great. It's actually linked to a different artist that answered all these questions, but because he was like, if anyone has questions, go to this guy's blog. But what am I trying to tell you? So, the business
marketing.
Part's,
We're getting off on marketing.
Yeah, the business part's not. The business part's not as hard because like you're gonna get frustrated at a certain point, and you're gonna want to work, and you're gonna say, okay, today I'm just gonna email everyone I could possibly find and try and get a job. That's basically all it is. You're just trying to get a job. So, marketing for an artist is like applying for jobs at a company. That's all it is.
Right.
You're just applying for jobs. Yeah, you're consistently applying for jobs. And the reason that they say 50-50 is that because, like, once your jobs stop, you take like a week to just send a bunch of emails out. And then do like 6 companies every day. And you got to like kind of like really do a little research. Like, don't message a company. Like, I don't message a company that has lots of kid-friendly cartoony characters because I don't draw those, and I don't want to draw those. I can draw some, but like I just I'm not interested in that. And so I only message companies that have either the high fantasy, anything they're doing with zombies, anything with vampires, anything like occult. I kind of market myself that way. And like Noah Bradley, for instance, he does lots of landscapes, and traditionally he does lots of landscapes and lots of like fantastic fantasy landscapes. And let's see.
It is 50%, marketing, but you shouldn't be like worried about that. What like if you're worried about going to something like Spectrum or a LuxCon and meeting people and making friends and going to lunch with them, like that shouldn't be scary. That's the marketing. I mean,
it's like hanging out with
Albino
people.
Dragon, like that. You want to talk about marketing? Like all they did all day was email. Like they didn't draw anything. I was drawing everything, but the guy they did before with like they just get the rights to make some game for Name of the Wind, and the art is garbage because the guy couldn't draw. And I'll say that out loud because he wasn't drawing, he was tracing. He was tracing every single thing in the image. He wasn't drawing anything, he was tracing it. So like some people do that, when they're old or whatever, because just to save time, but that's like Drew Struzan. Those people are like established, like they know how to paint, these things with so it's just like if you did all marketing, you could sell. There's that scene in Tommy Boy, you could sell a ketchup popsicle to a lady in white gloves if you wanted to, make someone eat a shit sandwich. If you really had the marketing skills, you could do that. It's really it's really not that hard. Just go and meet people. That's the networking part.
Yeah.
The marketing part is realizing what type of products exists, what type of products you want to make and be involved in. Because you could change your mind 5 years after you've been making Magic cards, But like you could go to Spectrum every year and have a line going around the corner for your booth for all the fans coming to get their Magic cards signed. And if you're fine with that and you have accepted,
I think
that's awesome.
The way it works though is you just got to pick out what you want.
How successful do you want to be?
Like you pick out what you want to do, and if you schedule it on like if you say every Monday, I'm going to spend the first half of the day until lunch just sending emails out, and then you do that again on Fridays. Like every Friday, from like morning until lunch, I'm just going to email and I'm going to post on forums. I'm going to post up my work on like every website that's available that's free. If you're not on every single free website that has a gallery, then you're not working hard enough. Because if it's free, you should be on it. And all you got to do is like spend even just one day out of the month. Just update everything once a month, and then like have it on a regular schedule. That's all you have to do. And then like the emailing, you're gonna learn to love it because you're gonna be frustrated wanting to work. And then you're going to be like, I really want to work. And then finally you're going to go, that's it. I'm just going to email every single company that I can find. And that's what I did. I just went through, so this is what I do. I go to the game store. I'll look at every single RPG book. And if I look at the quality of the art and the subject matter.
It's like 1 million.
Yeah, I look at the quality art and the subject
Mhm.
matter, and I just write down the name of that company, and then I go home and I look up in a bunch of tabs all the companies I found, and then I just sit there and go one by one and email all of them, and it's really boring and really annoying. It's really annoying, but in 3 or 4 months, I get people messaging me back, and then I've literally only had 2 jobs, so this is like me telling you what's worked so far. So like, I've got a job, like a few months later because I emailed this company that I found at the game store, and said, "Hey, I like your work. You have some cool books. I saw your stuff at a game store. I'd love to work with you." That's all I said, and I put my link to my portfolio, and I just was like, "I'm out," and just hopefully you'll message me. And then they did.
Jetpack
And so
out.
now I'm working with them, and like that's all it takes. You just got to find out. But then don't go to the.
He blew me away when he came back with this. Like, hey, I got an email from so and so and so and so. I was like, what the? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it all hits at once too. So if you email a bunch of companies in like a month, 3 months or 4 months later, you might get like 5 jobs, and you got to be ready to pick out which ones you're going to work on, or which ones you're not going to work on, or if you're like maybe like me, you're going to say yes to everything, and just because you've been wanting to work for so long, you're going to be hungry for it. And you hear this all the time.
And then just overwhelm yourself.
Yes, like me, but but it's not overwhelming anymore because the other.
I'm drowning in money. No,
my other
not really.
deadline was extended. But anyway, so the marketing is not hard when you really start doing it. It seems hard because the word marketing is like, that's a word you don't really use. Market? What do you mean? Like grocery store marketing? And it's really just emailing companies for a job. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
That's it. And
you
then
get up, make an Instagram, be cordial on Facebook, link all Twitter, link all those things up. I mean, DeviantArt, draw crowd, even conceptart.org if you choose, because there are people there that want to make these things. I mean, think about how we all started out, like we were talking about. Yeah, we went to conceptart.org, we went to DeviantArt, we went to this and that. Like there are people, and we bought classes, we bought downloads, we bought people's art, like we're the market, like us 5 years ago, that we're trying to placate to now. And but then you need to also remember to ask yourself, cracked skull, can I call you Cracky? Cracky? Listen, how about Crackle? Look, Crackle, you need to ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? Yeah. If you don't know the answer to that question, then you're probably not ready. But because you don't know what's out there. If you want, like if you ask me what I want to do, I'll give you a bucket list of stuff I want to accomplish. I want to design a bad guy for a superhero movie, like Superman or something. I want to have a D&D book cover. I want to make some fantasy book covers. I want to make my own card deck now that I realized how easy it is, and I was making it for other people.
Oh,
if you just wanted, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Your bucket list, and you, man, I just lost my train of thought. Keep going on your rant. Keep going.
Yeah. So, if you just want to learn how to do characters, how to do portraits, how to do knights and demons, I don't know if you mean intellectual property, but like by IP there. But like if you're just saying, I want to learn how to draw characters and portraits and knights and demons, those are all things that you can study on your own. And so now you have to do anatomy, portraiture, armor and clothing. Demons, you got to know animal anatomy, and
little history
intellectual
doesn't hurt
property.
Either.
Oh yeah, and intellectual property and IP development, you need to know storytelling. You need to take a Marshall Vandruff class and how he rips you apart if you try to tell a story. You need to realize there's highs and lows in a story track. Like there's a tragedy and there's a great outcome, or there's a kid's story, and like those are the things that you need to be able to make that goal. Don't just make it vague. Don't make vague goals. Make a specific one. So if those are the things you want to do, and you want to do them, Marshall Vandruff, Yes, that's him. He's probably going to be teaching at Art Connection Academy. I think he is. He is. Yes, the classes are available there. I was a student of his in TAD, and I was a student of his in San Diego, and he is an amazing friend now. He taught me more in 2 semesters than I could probably ever learn on my own about sequential art, storytelling, composition, all of that stuff. And he's not a working illustrator anymore, but he wanted to teach. He wanted to do that, So realize that just because you want to learn something doesn't mean that's what you want to do for a living. Like, unless you're fine with your job, like I'd probably be okay if I had a cool part-time job and just got to do art on the side and freelance. I'd probably be okay with that. But that's me. Other people want to be millionaire artists, but you probably need to sell frozen food if you're going to do that, because you're not going to be a millionaire artist unless you're selling $12 million sharks and stuff like that. So anyway,
that's yeah, he's referring to Jamie Hurst, right? Jamie Hurst? No, the Hurst guy. You're referring to him. His art.
Yeah, James Hurst. They're saying they lost the stream.
Uh-oh.
They're saying, no, lost the stream.
Yeah,
it's
you
frozen.
guys are sounding all robotic to me.
Hold on a quick.
I wonder if...
I'll start it up again.
I can barely hear you.